You know that feeling, right? It's the night before a huge final and you're just staring at a study guide, feeling that knot of panic tighten in your stomach. It feels like this giant, impossible wall of information. But what if, instead of trying to climb it, you found a totally different way through? Let's talk about how one student did exactly that.
So this is what a student named Leanne was staring down, a super dense, unforgiving list of facts for her astronomy final. I mean, we're talking light spectra, solar system formation, the Doppler effect. It's a classic wall of text, you know? The kind that's just built for pure memorization.
And the pressure was, well, it was real. You can feel it in this message she sent to her AI study partner. I'm scared because I don't think I'm going to pass. I think we've all been there. That awful feeling that no matter how hard you stare at the page, none of it is actually sticking.
Which brings us to a really important question. When your brain just flat out refuses to absorb one more dry fact, what do you do? I mean, how do you make that knowledge yours, especially when the clock is ticking?
Well, Leanne had this brilliantly weird idea. Instead of trying to force the facts into her brain, she decided to invite them in. Her proposal? Turn every single short answer question on her study guide into a monster dating short story. Yeah, you heard that right. Monster romance as a study tool. And this is where it gets really fun. Welcome to the Celestial Dating Service, where every perfect match is secretly a lesson in astrophysics. Let's see how this completely wild learning method actually worked. Okay, so here's our first problem. A pretty standard, kind of dry short answer question about something called Wien's law. Basically, it's all about the relationship between a star's temperature and the color of light that it gives off.
Now for the monster makeover. A woman named Tempest gets matched with Glacian, an ice warden who is literally made of ice. And through their story, she learns that a star's color tells you its temperature. And here's where the story makes a tricky concept just click. Blue stars are actually hotter, while red stars are cooler. By linking that totally counterintuitive idea of hot, blue, to a cold, icy character, that fact becomes unforgettable. So here's the science of it. Wien's law basically says that as something gets hotter, the peak wavelength of the light it puts out gets shorter. So hotter means bluer light and cooler means redder light. The story of the ice warden just gave us a really cool, pun intended, emotional hook for that scientific fact.
All right, next up, another tough one. Using these things called spectral lines to figure out if a star is moving toward us or away from us. This gets into something called the Doppler effect, which, can feel a little abstract when you're just reading it in a textbook. So let's meet Count Valus, the Doppler vampire. He doesn't drink blood. No, he tracks stars by drinking the shift in their light. And in his story, he explains to his date that if a star's light is blue shifted, it's getting closer. If it's red shifted, it's moving away. He can literally sense things coming or going. And that's pretty much the Doppler effect in a nutshell. Light waves from something moving toward you get all squished together, shifting them to the blue end of the spectrum. And light from something moving away gets stretched out, shifting it to the red end. The vampire just made physics personal.
Okay, one more of these. This question is a big one. It's about the very beginning of our solar system. Why do all the planets orbit the sun in the same direction? And kind of on the same flat plane?
For this, we meet Vire, the spinborn. He's a being who was literally born from a collapsing, spinning cloud of gas and dust. And he explains that everything in our solar system, the sun, all the planets, the asteroids, everything was born from that one single spinning motion. So of course they all keep spinning in the same direction. It's like cosmic muscle memory.
So, the stories were amazing for locking in those complex ideas. But the exam also had a rapid-fire true or false section. And this is where that new story-based knowledge was going to get put to a whole different kind of test.
Let's try one out. True or false, grass is green because it absorbs green light. And that is false. It's a really common misconception, but we actually see the color that an object reflects, not the color it absorbs.
Okay, next one. All 4 of the giant outer planets have rings. Is that true? Yes, it is. Saturn's are obviously the most famous, but Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune are all part of the ring club.
All right, last one of these. X-rays travel through space faster than visible light because they have more energy. And that one is definitely false. This is a huge point in physics. In a vacuum, all light, from radio waves to gamma rays, travel at the exact same speed, the speed of light. Now, a story can help you learn something, but the real test is whether you can pull that information out when you're under pressure. And for Leanne, that ultimate test didn't happen in some quiet classroom. Nope, it happened on a freeway.
Just picture this for a second. You're exhausted, you're hungry, and you are stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic on a Friday afternoon, and your phone is reading you practice questions out loud. This isn't just about knowing the answer anymore, it's about whether you can find it when your brain is totally fried.
And then the question comes through. You're looking at two stars, one blue, one red. Which one is hotter and why? This goes right back to the beginning, to the story of Glacian the Ice Warden. Can she remember it?
And she absolutely nails it. Without even hesitating. Obviously, the blue star is hotter. The story worked. It turned this difficult, counterintuitive fact into something so solid in her mind that she could recall it effortlessly, even in the middle of a miserable traffic jam.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? I mean, this whole thing was about way more than just passing one astronomy exam. It really shows us something powerful about how we learn.
Look at it this way. The exam was about astronomy, but the monster stories, they were about learning. The exam was a list of cold, hard facts. The stories were about making a connection. It turned a challenge of pure memorization into an act of imagination. And it just proves that the best way to learn something isn't to force it, but to find a way to make it matter to you, personally.
In the end, Leanne didn't just learn about the stars. She learned how her own mind works. She found a method that turns stress into creativity. So the final question here isn't about planets or nebulae at all. It's about you. What's your monster story? How can you rewrite the way you learn?